I'm joined by Kefir Dmari, the co-founder of SpaceIL, the team that sent up the Genesis probe in 2019 to the moon. Kefir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Kefir, this is the first private probe that had been sent up, and you worked in collaboration with SpaceX. Now, Eitan is also being sent up with SpaceX. Give us an insight on what it's like to go up and work in cooperation with SpaceX.
So I think it's a bit different what the way we worked and the way Eitan is going to, because we basically launched the spacecraft on a SpaceX rocket. We joined with a few other satellites, and there was another company, Spaceflight, who organized this flight. For Eitan, he's actually the whole vehicle is being developed and managed by SpaceX. There is a company called Axiom who's organizing this mission, and I think it's going to be a bit different. SpaceX is going to take control on all the engineering aspects of that project, and Eitan will have the opportunity to go into the International Space Station for the first time for an Israeli and conduct. Will have around 200 hours of missions, both scientific, technological, and also missions that will ignite kids in Israel and inspire them to dream high.
Genesis 1 was launched last year. You are working on a second probe. Tell us a little bit about how that's going.
So since the beginning of this year, we got a donation from Len Blavatnik, and we hired a new CEO, Mr. Shimon Sarid, and we have been working in the last few months to find the right mission for Berashit 2. It was clear to us that we don't want to take the same mission, just copy-paste and just replay it again and change the last 5 minutes. We were looking to do something with the DNA of SpaceIL, which is doing the impossible, something unique that was never done before. I think we're there, and hopefully soon we'll be able to share more information.
Now, what impact do you think SpaceX has had on the industry?
I think SpaceX had a tremendous impact, but I think it's a general change that happens in the space industry. And I think SpaceX is one of the leading companies here, and that's the fact that you can see more and more private civilian organizations that are taking the places that only government have been until now. And SpaceX is doing an amazing work because, as you know, even NASA now is hiring them to take astronauts to the space station. But I think it's only the beginning. You know, SpaceIL was the first private organization to reach the moon. You will see more and more organizations just like that getting to the moon in the next few years, and maybe to Mars soon.
Even though we are seeing, you just mentioned as well, the space industry become more and more privatized, the government still does play a minor role in these projects, doesn't it?
It depends which government. With NASA is leading most of the funding. It's true that in Israel, there was a big change that I think happened in 2010 when the government started to get more funds into the private space industry. You need to understand that Israel has amazing capabilities in space, but most of them were used for military purposes. And I think it was a change that happened in 2010 when since then you can see, first of all, SpaceIL is one of the first organizations, but you can see more and more organization in this field. Still, the amount of funding that the government can give right now to the space industry is low compared to the amounts you actually need. This is why both SpaceIL and now this next human mission into space is mostly subsidized by private organization. In both organizations, both Keren Ramon and SpaceIL, it's donations, but in the rest of the industry, it's actually investors that are going to invest now in startup. We already have the first startup in Israel that did an exit, effective space, and you will probably see more like this in the future.
And just very briefly, Kefir, before we just go out, now talk to me about the cost of the probes, because yours was much smaller than regular spacecrafts that have been sent out.
Yes, so the cost of the SpaceIL mission was $100 million, which is really nothing compared to other space missions in the past. But I think it's also one of the things that changed the way the industry look at now on space missions, because after we started and we're talking about a $100 million project, even NASA started to ask for companies to come and do it in 150 million, because if the Israeli did it in 150 now sounds logical. So I think that changed the perspective even for the cost of such missions.
Okay, Kafir Dmari, co-founder of SpaceIL. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.